Devon.
And we are...
Board Game Hype!
Woo!
Yeah!
Today we are going to be talking about Patchwork by Uwe Rosenberg, published by Lookout Games. This is a 2-player quilt building game.
Quilt building? We don't burn quilts.
Not burning.
We're
so
building
sorry.
them.
And we have the Americana edition.
Yes, so that is why our box is blue.
Yes, that's why there's a red, white, and blue theme happening
red,
today.
white, blue thing. Woo, yeah. You want me to read a little
I
bit?
would love for you to read some flavor text if you would.
Okay, so she's going to make funny faces while I read some flavor. You ready? Patchwork is a form of needlework that involves sewing together pieces of fabric into a larger design. In the past, it was a way to make use of leftover pieces of cloth to create clothing and quilts. Today, patchwork is a form of art in which the designers use precious fabrics to create beautiful textiles. The use of uneven pieces of fabric in particular can result in real masterpieces and is therefore being practiced by a large number of textile artists. Creating a beautiful quilt, however, requires effort and time, especially if the available patches just cannot fit together. So choose your patches carefully and keep a healthy supply of buttons to not only finish your quilt, but to make it better and more beautiful than your opponent's.
Quilter out. All right, so a little bit about setup for this game. So setup is pretty simple. Actually, you're just going to take all the quilting pieces, put them in a circle around the board. That's the hardest part, is determining the size of the circle that you need.
That's really tough.
Usually requires 2 to 3 tries if you're me. You will take this board, place it in the center, place your little 1 square
It's a time board.
quilting squares.
Star pieces.
Star pieces, thank you. On the board in their designated locations. You will take the 2 place markers. What are those called?
Time tokens.
Time tokens.
Or place markers.
Place markers. Place them on the board, stacked on top of each other, and then we have our buttons and some awesome game trays, but they can also just be set on the table.
Shout out to Lucky Duck Games for providing us with these X-trays from Game Trays.
Yes,
Thank you.
They are amazing. Then each player will get a player board. It is essentially just a blank checkerboard looking. And then you're ready to go.
Yes, and so with the buttons over here, they have 10s, they have 5s, and then the rest of them are 1s. So
there's actually a 20 in there.
There's a 20 in there? We've never got a 20. We've got it once maybe. And then this last thing is, if you complete a 7x7 grid, then you get 7 buttons at the end of the game.
It's a bonus.
That bonus! So you went over the setup. Let's go a little bit how to play.
Do you want to tell us how to play?
Sure, I can say a little bit. So on your turn, what you're going to be able to do is one of 2 things. The first thing you can do is you can buy a patch, which in order to buy a patch, you have to get buttons to buy the patch. So notice how on each of the patches, I'll show some B-roll here, they have a button count and then a time on it. So what you do is you look at the button count. If you have 1 button, for this one example, you spend that button, you get the patch, and then you're going to place it directly on your board, wherever you would like. But once you place it, you can't
Because
take it away.
you sewed it in, essentially.
You've sewed it in.
Symbolic of sewing the patch.
So once you do that, then you're going to take this little neutral token and move it to kind of wherever you bought that. So that was a bad example. But for example, if I bought this one, I would move it over there. And then you continue like that. The second thing you can do is, let's say, for example, she is way up here and I wanted to get more buttons and I didn't want to buy anything, or I couldn't buy anything. So you're going to actually move your token piece here 1 space ahead of the opponent, which then you're going to count every space. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're going to get that many buttons. So I got 5 points, plus there's little icons on the board that are buttons.
Yes.
You're going to count however many buttons on your board here,
pieces.
your quilted pieces, and then you're going to get that many more. So I would have gotten 6 buttons from that movement alone. Those are the 2 things you can do on your turn. You're going to continue to go back and forth like that, place all the way until you reach the middle section here. And then the game is going to end, and you're going to total up the score.
Yeah, you're going to count your buttons, and then you're going to actually count all of the open squares on the board. Each open square is -2.
Busted!
So, it's actually not busted. We did figure out the last time we played why it scores that way, but it can be a little bit defeating, maybe, when you score a total of 3 points.
3 points and -4 like our last game.
-4.
Yeah, that was fun. Thanks.
But that's okay. We still love the game.
But yes, so that is That is
That's
Patchwork.
Patchwork.
That's how you play it. Very good 2-player game. I mean, one of the most widely known 2-player games out there currently.
One we've gifted multiple times.
We have gifted this multiple times, and we enjoy it.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, with that being said, do you want to talk about some ranking system type
So we
things?
rank on a scale of 5 instead of 10. 5 being a game that we'll always play, we absolutely love. 4 being a game that we really enjoy and will be happy to play. 3 is an average game that we're okay with playing. 2 is a game that it's fine, but not necessarily for us. And anything below that is just kind of not a game we want to ever play.
Fell square.
Fail square. Yep.
Alrighty. So
Go for it.
the first thing that we rate is components and accessibility. So from my perspective, I actually rated this out of 3. I felt that our components and accessibility are solid. I really like, one thing I do enjoy is that the components all do reflect the theme of the Patchwork edition that you get.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool. Something that I do not like is the fact that there aren't little like grid spaces on here to keep the pieces in their exact place. Now, if someone is not as retentive as I am, this is probably not a factor. But for me, it really bothers me. I'm very extra. It's okay.
Yeah, I actually gave it a 4 out of 5,
Okay.
and that's probably because I don't mind that at all.
No, yeah.
We also don't have kids or anything right now, so there's no one around trying to push things and move things. So we don't have that issue yet. So I gave it a 4 out of 5. I really love the tokens. I think the buttons are, everything's so simple.
It is.
And the accessibility, the only hint, which is why it's not a 5, is because of the space that it takes.
I forgot to say something.
The space that it takes all the way, because you don't have to do it, but they tell you want to do it all the way around.
It's really helpful for planning.
Yes.
I've thought about trying to play this condensed where you just kind of stack them and just lay out the next 3, but it would make planning your next move so difficult.
You could stack them and then place 3 out like a market system, but it'd
still be so hard to tell 3 turns from now, what am I going to do?
Right, yeah. So that was components and accessibility. Moving on to theme and story, which is our second piece. I gave this another 4 out of 5. I thought we do have the Americana edition, so it's a little different than the other editions.
Yes.
But I thought overall this game definitely has a great theme. I mean, I feel like I'm quilting and I'm having good decisions of how many buttons I want to use and what my board looks like in the end. It's always really cool to see that. So I gave it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I gave it a 3 out of 5. Again, I do really like it. I would echo everything you said. I think that there's very much it's taught me I don't think I could ever be a quilter.
The patience.
I can't sew anyways, but wow, it is such a puzzle. Which for me it's kind of Tetris-y, which I enjoy. But that also, I think of Tetris sometimes, not always quilting, but that's probably just me.
Yeah. So yeah, what'd you say? 3 out of 5?
3.
Okay, move on to the
Alrighty,
next.
so artwork and graphic design. This one I actually rated a 4.
Yeah, nice.
I love the way that each patch of the quilts is unique. I think that's so cool, and it truly reflects making a quilt. So I think that is it's really what sold me.
Yes, and so it's one thing I really like is how it's double-sided.
Yes.
Because that means this one's a bad example, but for example here, if you want to place it like this, you can place it however you want because it has 2 sides. If they didn't have 2 sides, it'd be one option, and that would lose some player agency.
Extremely limiting.
Yes. So I gave it a 4 out of 5 as well. I love the thematic artwork. I've seen all the other Patchworks as well, and I really enjoy the artwork in those. So for me, it's definitely a 4 out of 5. That moves on to the next one, which is a gameplay and mechanisms is our other point. I give it a 3. For me, the accessibility, the art and everything's great. Gameplay, it's fine. It's average. It's not above and beyond. I don't mind. I really like this aspect of it, but I don't like this aspect as much.
Okay.
I really like how this is kind of like your tracker for time. I think that's so clever.
Yes.
And everything like that. But just for me, it was just an average 3 out of 5.
Okay. So I actually rated it a 4 out of 5. This is one of my favorite games, I would say. And I very much like that it is a puzzle aspect. I like to be able to look at pieces, especially if you are very far ahead of me, which means there's the potential I could lay multiple pieces if I play them correctly. And I like to figure out ways to make that fit together. So for me, it's very much problem solving and strategic, which I enjoy. So
Want to move on to our last?
Yes, overall feelings. So, overall experiences and feelings as we played the game. I actually rated this a 4. There's not a time we play Patchwork that I don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's a great game to get to the table if we want something relaxing, if we want something maybe a little more strategic. Like, I think it's got a really good mix of both.
Some games are really easy. Some games are crazy, like our last game.
Yes.
Which is weird.
It was wild.
For the first time in our last game, I won with buttons, which I never do.
No.
Normally, I win by placing really good boards, but no, didn't do that last time. I gave mine a 4 out of 5 as well for that exact reason. I enjoy playing it. It's not above and beyond 5. Like, I'm not going to always go out and be like, let's play Patchwork now. But I'm happy to play it. I really enjoy all aspects. So, the last thing we always say is, since this channel is dedicated to helping you discover new games from a 2-player's perspective, does this game play well at 2 players?
Absolutely.
It's a 2-player game.
I mean,
come on, people.
If it didn't, I'd be super concerned.
It's a solo mode only.
Right. So, yes, it plays well at 2 players. And then overall hype rating, mine came in at a 4.
Mine is a 4 as well. That puts it into the liked it category. Overall thoughts and opinions on Patchwork.
You know that this game is near and dear to my heart. I really genuinely enjoyed that it's a puzzle, but it's not a puzzle that I get overwhelmed with, where it's 1,000 pieces and it's going to take me 3 days to set it up.
Yeah, unless you play the last game.
That was a very fast game. It was just wacky.
That was a really fast game. Yeah, I love Patchwork. It's not a game I'm always going to fight for, but I'm really happy with playing it. Mm-hmm. It's a very good one if I have someone I'm like, I want to introduce a 2-player game. Yes. Patchwork's the first thing that comes to mind. Yeah. So if you're looking to buy Patchwork, we would highly recommend it.
It's a great game to get people into this kind of gaming.
It's a gateway game.
Yes, yep. Gateway game. Thank you.
Yep. You want to end it?
Alrighty, and so that is all we've got today. Thank you so much for joining us. And then until next time, we are going to go build ourselves...
Wait. I'm Devon.
Oh, and I'm Liz.
And we are...
Board Game Hype. And we're going to go build ourselves a blanket fort.